So first of all, welcome everybody, and thank you for switching over to Zoom at the last minute. I want you to imagine the anxiety as we were like, we're in the room and we cannot find the start button.
There's no live broadcast button, and we're like,
and we're on Google and we're searching.
And we have like 100 people sign up for the webinar. It's like, we failed our people. It's like all these monkey mind stories. And then I'm like, fuck it. I'm done. I'm like reptile brain, like flight, fight, flight, fight, flight, fight.
And I flip into the show must go on mode. How do we do this?
And Scott's like, you got to change your attitude, shift your attitude. I'm like, I'm not there.
But I said, but David, she said, nobody will be there. What if nobody comes? I said, David and Laura will be there. She said, okay, we'll do it. So anyway, a big hello. Once again, thank you, Valera and Dan, Art, Aurora, David, and Laura for joining us. And we are going to mute everybody just for now. But, we're really hoping that this is going to be interactive to some degree as well. Do you want to go into permissions?
Yeah. So just a little bit about our style. We're pretty raw and vulnerable.
As you've already seen.
And so, and we kind of do riff. Like if there's like something that's alive, we can usually go in a separate direction. We're not much to like sticking to a strict agenda. So that's a little bit of our flow. We're spontaneous and playful and kind of go with what's alive in the moment, especially if there's a deep share. We like to kind of hold space for people. At the end of this webinar, we will be offering you an opportunity of a way that you guys can come and learn more from us and be a part of our community. So we just wanted to give you a heads up. There's only so much that we can kind of go into today for our webinar, but just wanted to give you a heads up. We'll be talking about that at the end. And
I recognize that a lot of the people who are going to be watching this are actually people who weren't with us live, but they're watching the replay. So thank you for joining us. And you can still follow along with the visualizations and the participation. For those of you that are live, we do have a chat box. If you take your cursor and you go down to the bottom of your screen, just a little bit to the right of center, you'll see where it says chat. And you can chat with everybody. Or if there's somebody that said something and you want to send them a private message, you just kind of click on their name and you can send a chat to them as well.
Also, there's a button up on the right called Gallery View. I recommend that you press that. That way you can kind of see who's in the room, see people that are on video chat. If you want to be able to turn your video on, there's actually on the lower left-hand corner, there's a stop video and you press that and it'll kind of start your video. But it's up to you. If you don't want to be seen, we certainly understand.
But we sure enjoy seeing you. So if you're willing to be seen, and David and Laura, we're going to play off you. Dan, definitely. Valera, we can see. So, thank you for those of you who joined us in this way.
All right. You want to get started?
Yeah. So, it's interesting how the word sex just is such a charged word. And we have so many associations about what sex or sexual energy means. But we wanted to start by acknowledging that for us, it's not just about genitals, and it's not just about somebody else turning us on, but it's about life force. Sexual energy is passion, it's life force. And so a big part of our approach with you today is it's not about whether you're single or in a relationship. It's not about whether you have somebody else to be sexual with. It's about how to get it going inside yourself.
Mm-hmm. Like we're not going to be teaching you clues on where to get the best lingerie or how to get the best sex toy or that kind of thing. It might pop in there, but that's not going to be...
It's not about G-spot massage.
So...
But it's about really turning ourselves on, and it's about an attitude, and it's a choice, and ultimately it's learning. Hey, welcome, Matthew. Thank you for joining us, and see a couple of other people who have come in by phone numbers. So thank you for following us over to the Zoom. Really appreciate that. So I want to say that Emily is somebody that I'm learning so much from. And one of the things is how Emily turns herself on. I'm just kind of vulnerable. It's like, There's times like she doesn't need me. I've always been in relationships where, well, it's like the girlfriend needed me because I provided them a certain love experience. Well, Emily is so good at loving herself. So there's been like the repatterning of, wow, she really doesn't need me to be happy. She really doesn't need me to feel well loved. But on the other hand, she's like the happiest person I've ever known because she knows how to do that. So it's pretty cool.
I remember Scott telling me he went to a Tantra workshop with Maryse Cote, this woman from Spain.
France.
And she was all about self-pleasuring, and she'd do it through her breath and moving sensation in her body. And literally she'd have like a 45-minute orgasm, and people would just watch her and be like, okay, there's no one touching her. There's no one like stimulating her with words. There's nothing going on. And all the guys are going like, do I matter? Is there room or space for me here? And she's just like breathing and moving the pleasure in her body and just allowing the ecstatic kind of ripplings or Kundalini awakenings happening. And so I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, I used to joke, with her. It's like, well, while you're having your orgasm, I'll go make breakfast, because clearly you don't need me in the bed. So I'll be more useful by making breakfast because you'll be hungry after your 45-minute self-pleasured orgasm. But, there's actually something very beautiful and powerful about that. And, for our ego, let's just order, there's that part of our ego that we want to be the source of the other person's pleasure. And we also are looking for someone to pleasure us. We are living in this illusion of separation, on the earth plane, where we think we're separate. We believe that we are separate beings. And I want to just talk about that for a moment because it's an illusion. And we happen to be living on the planet at a time in which our science has validated our spirituality. Spiritual teachers have been telling us for a long time that there's only one being, that we're all in oneness together. But now we've scientifically proven that through the unified field, that actually there really is just one unified field of ever-changing molecules. We actually really are connected. But we so live in the illusion of separation. And so that's why our worst moments are when we perceive separation. But our most wonderful moments are when we perceive connection. That's why making love is so amazing, because we have that experience of, oh my God, I'm not really alone, I'm connected. But so much of our sexual energy and life force is learning how to connect to life, not just to a lover, not just to somebody doing the right thing for us, but actually connecting to life.
Yeah, because if we don't learn to do that, then we look for something outside of ourselves to get that. And then when we don't get it the way we want, that's when we go into disconnection. So the best way is, how do I learn to find out about myself, my greatest turn on, my pleasure? How do I make that matter? How do I run that energy in myself? Whether it's going out into nature, whether it's eating chocolate or a peach, or whether it's like being on purpose, whatever it is that turns you on is what we want to encourage you guys to do, so that basically you know how to source yourself or fill up, so that you're not looking for others to do that for you. So I guess that's the first clue is, what's the best way to get yourself turned on? Well, it's what turns you on. Everybody's different, right? So again, what are the ways that you bring your joy, your pleasure, your juice, your ecstatic bliss? What does turn you on? And it doesn't have to be sexual. Like for me, it's merging with spirit or merging with nature. I get like this feeling of just such delicious energy that moves in my body, and I start kind of waving in patterns. And that honestly is what comes into the bedroom. The more I can kind of connect to that source energy and feel that energy moving inside of me and allowing it to open up places in my body. So I think we're going to take people.
Yeah, we're going to take people on a visualization. But before we do that, Emily, I'm kind of dropping into my empathy self. And I just want to acknowledge how perfectly human, certainly for myself, how many years I spent looking, when I was single, looking for the person who would turn me on and I would turn them on. Then once I was in relationship, looking for them to do it a certain way, or for me trying to figure out how I could do it in the right way. And really just acknowledging how most of my life, and I'm imagining for most people watching, we have spent so much time either, again, always looking on the outside to get turned on, and to either get our need for sexual pleasure, life force met from someone else, or for those of us, at least as men, who are wanting to be of value, wanting to be the hero, you know, how can I best turn my woman
Please
on?
her.
How can I best please her?
Because if she's not happy or pleased, then somehow it's my responsibility, or there's something wrong with me.
Chinese proverbs say, happy woman, happy life. And I'm just curious, I'd love to hear from, you know, if anybody out there can relate to what we're saying here. I'd love to just get a little feedback before we do the visualization. Laura, thank you.
You know, I think it is an awareness of the self-fulfillment and not knowing, you know, when you don't have witnessing parents who, because they're so stressed out, how to check in with yourself, that you look outside sexually and for attention too, especially females, you know, for that, because it gives them that feeling of connection through power.
Yeah.
And so I can totally relate to all that. And it's such a beautiful thing as we do this work with you guys, that we can become more self-sourcing in a way that we can feel more fulfilled. And I noticed that I'm much more attracted to David in a different way of just wanting to give instead of what can I get. And then the other thing I'll just say that really came up for me is how do I take care of my sexual energy and stuff, is I really try to do a little bit of self-care every day. It could be a bubble bath. It could be, you know, listening to beautiful music or saying kind words, or all those things sort of fill up my sexual energy basket, so to speak. Do you want to?
Beautiful.
Thank you. That's really, thank you.
Yeah, self-care.
Yeah. I don't know. Am I up?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're up.
Share.
I mean, you know, it's kind of private to share. I mean.
So first of all, thank you for including us in your workshop. It means the world to us to be honored in this way, that you would have us on one of your live feeds. And, you know, for myself, it's so interesting. As a 53-year-old man, I can look back at my youth, and as I've gone through the transition of my life, you know, from when the wind blew, you know, sitting in a classroom, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm turned on for whatever reason, and, you know, my private areas are going, hey, what's going on here? And you know, no idea. To going and really exploring meditation and self exposure and self integration, and having this amazing connection with Laura, and my sex drive completely gone. It just drops. But my heart is more full, and I'm more connected with an individual than I've ever been in my life. And so I have this fulfillment, and my mind doesn't need to look for sexual activity outside of what my union is here. And that was really, really interesting to me, because I thought, okay, you know, my package looks like a button on a fur coat. What the hell's going on here? And now, working with you two, we have this gift of opening up this line of communication so I can get more in touch. And right now, I can tell you our sex life and our drive is better than ever.
No.
Yay! That's awesome.
So now I have the gift of meditation, curiosity, and wonder. And now I have this amazing connection with this woman that I absolutely adore. And I'm able to physically be there as well as mentally and emotionally.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you
Wow,
so much.
both.
Beautiful sharing from both of you. Thank you
Wonderful.
so
Beautiful.
much. Thank you.
All right. Do you want to start?
Visualization.
Yeah. So I do want to say that before the visualization is, again, there's no right or wrong. To allow yourself to trust what comes into your mind, what comes into your senses, what comes into your body. There might be the whole thing of like focusing on something that turns us on, and it's something that comes in that's really, we can judge it. Why I should be thinking about that? Why is that coming up? I should think about something sexual, but then I have this other experience that's coming through. So be careful when you notice the judgment that's taking you out of the experience that really wants to come forward. And again, if that happens for you, no right or wrong, but it will certainly give you more information to explore deeper of what might be blocking you or some of the things that could be sabotaging your turn on. So I just want to say that it's going to be uniquely different for everybody. So to allow yourself just to trust what pops into your body and into your intuition.
Great. All right. So, of course, get comfortable and close your eyes, please. And let's just start by taking some conscious breaths. And on every exhale, just releasing any thoughts, any stuff that you don't want to bring in, kind of clearing your slate. Almost like imagining that you're wiping with an eraser the chalkboard of your mind, clearing the space on every exhale. And on every inhale, connecting to your center, connecting to that center point, maybe your heart, maybe your third eye, whatever you experience as the center point of your being. Exhale, release.
Letting any tension go.
Into the center point.
I'd like to invite us to come to our genitals and to our perineum, our survival center. Maybe some people call it the first chakra. And I'd like you just to notice what's here and see if you can breathe some more energy, some more life force into this area, opening the area, and on the exhale, especially softening, relaxing, opening, just completely allowing the first and second chakras to be alive, energized, open.
And as you tune into the lower chakras, what do they have to say to you? Are they needing more care, more attention? Are there any blockages that you notice? And if you notice a blockage, it's not bad, it's not wrong, it's just something to notice. Oh, wow, I have a blockage here. We've grown up with so much shame in our culture, shame around our anus, fart jokes, all the perception of shit being ugly and bad and stinky. Maybe shame around our genitals. Maybe shame about touching ourselves. So in this moment, what would, just between you and yourself, what would it be like to release any shame that you can notice? Do you feel 100% wonderful touching yourself? Are there ways that you could touch yourself or explore yourself that would be new? I love the words that David used a few moments ago, curiosity and wonder. How could you show more curiosity and wonder around your private parts? How could you honor your lingam or your yoni in a more full way?
Just imagining yourself deepening into maybe the visuals that might be coming of, oh, wow, I can touch myself in this way, or I can breathe in this way. And I just invite you to think about that as you start to visualize ways that you can gently, lovingly love yourself in these ways, allowing your imagination, your senses to open up, breathing into anything you're feeling.
We're going to focus on turning on different parts of the body. But while we're in the genitals, often we might need certain things to stimulate our genitals. Are you someone who's most stimulated visually? There's certain visual images that directly correlate to stimulation of your genitals. Perhaps you're auditory, or there are particular sounds or particular things or words that stimulate you. There is nothing bad or wrong with any word, sound, visual image. And even if your visual images are connected to something that you wouldn't actually want to act out in real life, remember that there's a beautiful difference between sexual fantasy and that which we actually want to act out in life. And sexual fantasies are beautiful to explore. So let's just create the safety that we can explore and really own what our sexual fantasies might be. And that doesn't mean we ever need to act it out. They're just kept on the fantasy realm.
So as you're welcoming in either the words or the images, just noticing what ignites in your body, if there's any sensations that are growing. And seeing if you can find the pleasure or the turn on. And let's just take a deep inhale and release on some sound. Again, letting any primal sound out of your body. Inhaling deeply. Just seeing if we can amplify those places of turn on, accentuating them, enlivening them, perhaps growing them even, allowing ourselves to feel those states of pleasure and passion.
And so taking note of anything you've observed, and we're not going to start to move up the body, but definitely anything you've noticed Really make a note and take the time to go back and explore more fully some of what you thought of, some of what you noticed. We're now going to move up the body and into our heart chakra, our fourth chakra. Oh, what turns your heart on? From a hard on to a heart on. Is it the love of another person? Love of an animal family? Of course, there's so many ways that our hearts can get turned on. What do you notice? And does your turn on come more from receiving love, or more from giving love, or pretty well balanced between the two? Again, there's no right or wrong. We're just exploring who we are. What comes to mind? And I ask you to clear your slate for a moment. Just clear your slate, clear the chalkboard, and I'm going to ask a question, and just whatever comes into your mind first or into your consciousness first, notice that. Here's the question. What is a beautiful longing of your heart? What turns your heart on? What is your heart longing to experience? No right or wrong answers, just whatever comes in is worthy of noticing and paying attention to.
I invite us to put a hand on our heart. Let's inhale and release on a nice just opening up our heart. Let's inhale. Let's just drop into gratitude for the precious longing or longings that have come. Knowing that they are important. Knowing that your heart is worthy of those precious desires.
Moving up the chakras, we move up to our fifth chakra, our throat, our communication center. What communication lights you up? Is it when you're expressing yourself honestly? Is it when you're allowing yourself to sing?
Make sounds.
Make sounds.
Be authentic.
When you are turned on, what happens to your voice? Can you open your throat? Can you open the channel? Or is there a part of you that's so constricted? If you even are sexually turned on, is there a part of you that constricts? Or have you learned to open your throat and to allow sound to move? Again, no right or wrong, just noticing this.
Are you able to openly and express your desires, or even your boundaries, or even your vulnerabilities? To what degree do you allow yourself to be fully self-expressed? And we're going to inhale and release on an A, just imagining all the energy clearing from our throat. So let's go ahead and inhale.
Are there any blocks? And if there are blocks, that's okay. We want to notice them so that we can work on releasing them. Often our blocks come from times we were shamed or told that the sounds we made weren't okay, or that our singing was bad or off key, or that we couldn't sing. So we shut down, we contracted, we disconnected. Maybe we made a sound when we were having sexual pleasure and somebody laughed at us.
Or maybe we made a specific face and we judged ourselves or someone shamed us. So recognizing as we contort and we express and we make sound, none of that's bad or wrong. We want to give ourselves permission that that's perfectly unique and beautiful and authentic.
So just noticing if your throat, your fifth chakra opens, your face opens easily, or if there's blocks. And if there's blocks, noticing them. It's like, there's something I can work on. There's something I can help alleviate. There's an old pain ready to be released. And we now move up to our sixth chakra, the third eye, that point in between the eyebrows. Yogananda called this the point of God. Beautiful place to connect to. Your third eye. How is it for you to access your third eye? What comes up for you? Does this feel open? Like a familiar friend? Or does it feel more mysterious? Maybe a place that you haven't explored very much yet. And if your third eye could talk to you, give you a message, what is that message? Imagine your third eye saying, I get turned on by... And again, noticing, do you imagine your third eye as a source that brings in, or a source that sends out, or both ways?
Let's just inhale through our third eye and release on an I. So let's inhale. Allowing ourselves to look into that center. I invite you now to look into that center and allow yourself to imagine a line now opening up your forehead all the way up and pierce open your crown chakra. Perhaps even imagining the top of your head gently lifting open. Perhaps allowing your eyes to go toward the top of your head. And just allowing yourself to feel the light, the life force that's just swimming above you and around you.
And so now, of course, we've moved into awareness of our seventh chakra, the crown chakra, that which connects us to Source. And again, does it feel open? Or what does it require for it to feel an opening? And when it's open, What do you experience? Do you experience energy coming in, energy going out? What does that energy look like or feel like? What is your own unique relationship to God, Source, Higher Self, Creator? What do you call it? How do you imagine it? And what's your unique relationship to that which has so many names?
So just allowing this unique connection to activate and amplify, bringing that energy down into your body. We are spiritual beings, but we're living in the flesh. And so we want to unite source energy within our animal body. So I'd like you to visualize that energy coming down all the way to your genitals. See if you can bring the energy all the way down through your throat, passing down your heart, opening up your solar plexus, belly, genitals. Can you feel that line of energy opening, aligning? Just noticing if there is a particular area that you feel some stuck energy. Seeing if you can breathe a little bit more, the connection of all the centers. Seeing if you can circulate or imagine that energy spreading out to each muscle, each cell. Where can you enliven and invigorate your body with this energy a little more?
And so we'd like to invite you to conclude this meditation, this visualization, with at least one commitment to yourself. At least one thing that you've noticed during this journey that you're willing to explore, spend more time with, honor. One commitment you're going to make to yourself. And kind of anchoring in, what have you learned, what have you seen? You can start moving a little bit, and when you're ready, slowly opening your eyes again and coming back into the group, connecting. Oh, it's so delightful to come back and to see our friends. Thank you, Dan and Laura and David and Matthew. It's nice to see you. And greetings to other people who have their cameras turned off. Would love to open it. Hello, Art. Like to open it up to anybody who would be willing to share anything that came alive for you during that visualization. Anybody be willing to share a tidbit, an experience, that something that came up for you? Just raise your hand and I'll unmute you if you'd be willing to share. Matthew, thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful visualization and travel. That was fantastic. Thank you, Scott. Wow. Yeah, I think the traveling up through the chakras all the way up to the third eye, which for me is probably the area that I, for lack of a better way of putting it, spend the least amount of dedicated time cultivating connection with and tapping into in that regard. at times I really feel my energy very clearly through my body. It's very flow oriented and processing through, and I can feel the movement of my energy. But connecting from this place is not something I do often. And when it does happen, I feel very well fed in an inward flow, often coming down into my body and into my systems. And, you know, a moment ago when that happened, it really kind of just aligned my body and really kind of broke me open during that process. And I want to commit to cultivating more connection in that regard. It's one of the areas that I've been, you know, committed to working through, and I'm going to continue that. So I want to commit to meditating and maybe doing a similar, you know, guided meditation in this regard. So thank you.
Matthew, you're such a divine mirror. I had the exact same or very similar experience, I should say.
Yeah.
When I went up to the third eye, literally I heard my third eye say, "Why do you ignore me? Why do you ignore me?" My commitment to myself was, I realized, oh my God, it's true. I mean, I'm all in the heart, I'm in the crown chakra, I'm in my genitals, but I don't even pay attention to my third eye.
Right.
So my commitment was focusing on that part of my body more.
Okay, so me too. I had a third eye experience. Maybe we're like on a whole entrainment. So I got the experience when I went here. There was like ecstasy and fear. And I imagined myself, literally, it was like, die into the mystery. Those are the words, die into the mystery. And my cognitive mind thinks, oh, I got to do this and this and this and plan this and do this technique or like, you know, but it's actually, it's not about doing something there. It's literally about, can I allow myself to completely surrender into dying into the mystery?
Wow.
And that means absolute surrender, feminine receptivity, that you absolutely need to let go of control. And that's like terrifying. And so there's this way that I think I keep myself from not surrendering fully as a woman, because again, the fear of engulfment stuff, what will happen to me? Will I lose myself? Will I be able to gain myself back to consciousness or cognition? Will I get taken advantage of? I think all that programming comes up. But the more that I can learn to open and trust, I almost imagine myself swimming in the stars. It was like this experience. I was swimming in the stars and it was so dark, but there was these glimmers of little stardust holding around my body.
Wow.
So
beautiful.
Wow.
David, I'm going to call on you in a moment, but I want to read something that Art wrote in the chat room, which I so relate to this. Art writes, "My challenge is often feeling so overwhelmed and driven to achieve the long list of things to be done that it's difficult to stay in meditation mode without being pulled out. I love the meditation you presented and will do this when I have the time."
When I have the time, right?
There it is.
Will I make the time?
Oh man, I so relate to that.
And that's why I have been avoiding the third eye too.
Totally, yeah. It's like getting lost.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, we need to make date nights to actually sometimes be intimate. So I get it.
Yeah.
How perfectly human.
I saw you also raise your hand, Dan. So David, and then Dan.
Thanks, you guys. For myself, that was brand new. It was really brand new. It was almost like a really pleasant blind date, you know. And so, you know, for myself, I just got so relaxed, just so relaxed, and just you know, it was like going to somewhere new. It was like witnessing myself in my hottest moment, clearly younger. And just having that experience. And of course, Laura was so turned on, which really fucked me up. Thank you. Our afternoon is going to be so much better.
You could feel her going into her turn on, which was like,
oh yeah,
yeah. It was like I was plugged into 220.
What a practice, right? To stay in your own experience and also feel that pleasure from her into you.
Yeah, that was fun.
And you know, as a man, I just want to say how challenging that is, because I'm so used to being, if I am in lover connection time with Emily, it's like I'm so tuned into what's going on with her. You know, what do I need to do? Do I need to leave her alone? Do I need to touch her? How does she want to be touched? You know, there's so much desire to be the hero and to get it right. And that's all from me. It's not from Emily at all. She's not one of these women who's like, now you better do it right. You know, it's not like that at all. It's all my own neuroses.
Absolutely.
But I just noticed it's true. It's like, you know, it's still so much of my focus is what's going on with my partner.
Yeah.
Amen.
Actually, can I say the most vulnerable thing that you...
What is it vulnerable about me? Okay, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just asked him about the most vulnerable request Scott could make would be to ask to receive a blowjob. You know, like, would you, and I'm just going to like sit here, and it's hard for him. Like,
before Emily, I had 2 blowjobs in my entire life.
I'm so sorry. Welcome to the aliveness of
yeah,
but that's also because your currency was so the giver.
So much about being the giver.
All the giver.
And it's not like I've had a lack of wonderful girlfriends.
He's had amazing
lovers.
But
it was me. My inability to receive it.
Always the giver.
Always the giver. And I had this story that it must be really gross for a woman. And so why would I want to put someone I love or that I'm attracted to into the situation to do something that gross?
Oh yeah, thanks for being vulnerable on that. I came from a 26-year marriage where I was my own sexual partner, or at least the best one. And you know, because growing up, I had this sexual drive because for 2 reasons. For one was for me to feel, just to feel. Mm-hmm. And the other was, I don't even know that I've ever said this out loud, was that I knew that if I was with this woman, this girl, whatever, that she was going to be safe in that process. At least for that time. She wasn't going to be taken advantage of, and she was going to be safe.
Wow.
And
beautiful.
And I thought I was like this. I knew all these things. And then I met Laura. I was like, wow, I don't know anything. But it's such a wonderment and exploration. And I approach it with just a soft, delicate touch.
Yeah.
So willing to take direction.
Mm-hmm. You know, speaking of, we're kind of going into the clue number 2 is like, we got to identify what's in the way to clear the blocks for us to be able to have what we want sexually or sensually or our turn on. And I think I just want to acknowledge Scott, you know, again, the belief that somehow a woman would be grossed out if she actually did give me a blowjob. Mm-hmm. So that's like a really clear, very clear identified block that I've helped repattern for Scott. So I'd love to be able to just open it up in vulnerability. Like, were there any stories as you were going to different parts of your body? Were there any kind of like shame stories or fear stories or even veils of past pain or memories that came up that you'd like to share openly and vulnerably? And
Dan, I noticed you had raised your hand, so I'm going to go to Dan first, and then we'll go to Laura.
And you can riff off of what you had before or this question if anything is moving you.
I know, coming from the meditation, I don't have really an issue with being in contact with all my chakras. Matter of fact, I revel in it. I enjoy it. And I especially enjoy it when I'm with a partner. Just the one thing, a personal thing for me, what came up for me was I know I need to probably do some more breath work. As I'm getting older, I'm starting to lose some of my libido. I'm not happy. It does not make me happy at all. But it's okay. I accept it as part of aging. You know, hell, I'm almost 68. But I find for me what the real turn on is the energetic dance with my partner. Mm-hmm. Even before we may even make love, even if it's just like washing dishes.
Yeah.
Or just walking by each other to feel the energy field of each other. That is a turn on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the biggest turn on to me, and it's all uphill from there. You know, it's all a big dance up to that point. I have no worries about it. And I feel if I can't talk to my partner about what my needs are, my wants are, or my partner can't tell me that, I'm with the wrong partner.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the person I want to be with.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for sharing that, Dan. Thank you.
I'd love to just open to the group. People teach workshops on this. It's my favorite form of sex, but it's called energetic sex, which is literally just getting turned on by the interaction of our energy bodies together. So we can, just allow ourselves, and a lot of times you can access it, through intention, through breath work and feeling and moving out into the field and allowing your bodies to move with the energy that's present, your own energy and the other person's energy. And it's just like, it's the best sex ever for me. So I'd love to just ask people, like, how in touch are you with the idea of making energetic sex or having energetic sex with your partner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people.
That,
great.
yeah.
Cool. Hey, when you had asked about blocks, which is, clue number 2, what are the blocks? I'd love to just maybe hear from 1 or 2 more people about that. And
Yeah.
I think, Laura, did I see you raise your hand?
That meditation was so powerful. Thank you. I'm writing a book. It's called "Can We Please Just Have More Sex?" And it's a funny rift of, like, can we just get the job done? Because we can pile our life up with so many worries. But if we could just be in that innocence with each other, even just for a few moments a day, life just goes better. It's like the lubrication of life, right? Like you get this how would I say it, free enjoyment. But even with that attitude that I've had since I was a little girl, I still notice there are so many blocks emotionally to times when, I was abused and, and it was just so refreshing to be able to soothe, just to become aware of all of that stuff and then just to soothe it with my own loving intentions.
Nice.
So that's what came up for me in the meditation. And then the other thing that I want to say is, like with David, because of his hero sort of just wanting me to feel safe in the moment sexually, I've made it safe that whenever he wants a blowjob, he can just put his dick in my mouth. I mean, it's just like,
welcome to my world.
Wow.
Nice.
But we have a deeper understanding between us that it's safe for him to do that. And I'd say 98% of the time it's like, welcome, no problem. And it's just created such a great sort of energy between us that, wherever we are. So
Very
Awesome.
That probably wouldn't go very well with
that
me.
wouldn't work for her. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Thank you. And I can't wait to get your book. That's beautiful. All right. Anybody else want to share about blocks? Yeah. Any other blocks that came up? Matthew.
Yeah, I definitely have, some issues around the first chakra area because of abuse in the past. And I'm really, really aware of it and always willing to work and focus on that whenever I'm engaging with a partner. Because that's really my work in that arena is allowing that area to feel safe again. And it didn't feel safe when I was young at all. And so now, I resonate with where you were at, Scott, when you were mentioning that, you ended up focusing on your partner lots of times in prior engagements. And that has been a pattern for me, and the ability to receive has been extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that has been tied up to the blocks and things not feeling safe in that area. So that has definitely been one of my focal points, is really trying to pay attention to that and giving it love, including self-love, and really in a very soft and, oftentimes delicate way, holding that in a very safe way.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And I see that Art raised his hand. So Art, thank you very much, Matthew.
Yes.
You're up. I'm here. Okay.
Oh, you're good, Art. We can't hear you actually for some reason. Sometimes if you pop in earphones, I don't know if you have any. People have this issue sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, you're definitely unmuted. So while you play with that for a moment, just want to say that again, when blocks come up, that's a blessing. It's like, wow, okay, you know, this is something I need to work on. And I had a really hard dream this morning. And when Emily and I were talking about it over breakfast, all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, it's a deep-rooted fear that's been buried in there for a long time that came through my dream state for me to work on. So, you know, if we're still alive, if we're still in breathing, we've always got things to work on, things to clear, things to get in touch with. While Art's kind of working on his sound.
I'd like to share.
Okay.
Okay, so what turns me on so much, and it feels like it's good to like say it out publicly, is it's not about what I'm doing to my partner, but when my partner like just goes into ecstatic bliss and just like starts contorting their face and just like telling me everything that's going on with them, and like the more wild they can be in their pleasure, that's my orgasm. Like it's
taken me about 2.5 years to learn that.
And when he's like masturbating and just like telling me, I'm like, like I just like totally like it just sends me over the roof. And so there's I guess the block that I'm working on maybe of, why do I feel like I need that to give myself permission or to allow that to be what I need to throw me over into bliss?
Oh, that's true, because you do, if I can say something,
yeah.
When you do have a beautiful orgasm, you ask me, do I look funny? When I have shame around the way I look. Yeah, you have fear about the way you look. Yeah.
So, but then
she looks so beautiful.
But it's interesting because I think you look beautiful, but there's a way that I think it's my insecurity.
Yeah, and I wonder where that came from. Like if somebody made fun of you when you were young or something about that, or if you were watching a porn and somebody said, "Oh my God, look at how weird that chick looks as she's having the orgasm." Somewhere there might have been something like that.
Right. Okay, well, I got stuff to work on, so there you go.
I saw Dan raise his hand.
Yes, hi. Two things. One, I've told people a lot about shame, parts of the body. Well, whenever we take showers in the morning or whenever, from the actual start of undressing and disrobing to turning on the shower, the tub, or whatever, it's a whole sacred act. It's a whole ritual.
Wow.
And to be in a blessing state,
nice.
Including when you feel any energy on the body where there may have been something forgotten about it, or mostly the genitals, to maybe just wash there and bless the area.
Nice. What a beautiful practice. Thank you.
And the other thing, like we were talking about orgasm and partner, well, how do I look and everything? My last partner, she had a little bit of issue around that, and we do the practice many times of making love, but when we're getting to that climax and times, whatever, it's just the wonderful acceptance and eye gazing and loving towards each other and sharing the energies of that, no matter who's orgasming. But it was such a wonderful practice that it just blossomed her right out like a flower. And it developed such deep trust, not just in me as her partner, but in herself.
Thank you
just
so
a wonderful
much.
practice.
Yeah. We're going to try Art, and then we'll go to you, David. Let's see. Okay, Art. Still can't hear you. Sorry. All right, David, you're up.
Scott.
I just wanted to say that, first of all, thank you all for being so vulnerable. But what I associate those faces, you call them fuck faces, right, is when you get to see that face, that means something very good is going on. How can that be bad, whatever it is?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing because that face represents that emotion and getting that feeling and that sensation. How can that be bad?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's where you have to figure out where it came from. Was it somebody else who shamed you, or, that's usually, it's amazing how.
You know what it is that, okay, for me, sorry, this is on women's porno. I've watched so much women's porno where I'm looking at the woman and she does kind of have like, she's like, like a same face. And I know like, I go like fucking crazy with my face. So I either I'm not watching the right porn or like, I, need to be around more women and see what they look like. But I see the women on porn like, have the faces that look really kind of like, surrendered, like sexy, but like, I'm talking about like
her eyes roll into the back of her head.
Like my whole like,
cool.
Like I probably look all like.
You look awesome. You look amazing. I love it. It's my favorite.
Do your own video. Do your own video and
Facebook Live.
No.
Right?
Just as on Emily. We don't see what's going on with the rest of her body, just her face.
Oh my God, I'd be humiliated.
see, so we aren't going to do that.
No.
Okay.
Scott.
Scott, thanks. First of all, thanks for joining us, Scott. And you're unmuted.
Yeah. Sorry I was late. I just wanted to express gratitude for what you shared, Scott. You know, I can really identify with being the caregiver. And I think mixed with my own story of people not showing up, my strength becomes my compulsion, you know, my way to hide. And then being with a partner that's kind of like you, Emily, that, you know, has fears of engulfment and at times, she will just step into that space of not giving because she's can be kind of, I don't know, out to lunch, not intentionally, but that's her adaptation.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we spent a lot of time practicing, can I ask for what I want? And then when I get it, not start giving, you know, because I don't know if you ever deal with that, Scott, where like you're receiving, but all of a sudden you want to stop getting the receiving and giving. Because that's so second nature. I think partially, again, because of the care. I mean, that's who I am in terms of the way I interface with the world. I'm a caregiver, but it's also the way that I avoid getting rejected.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So I just wanted to express gratitude for
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much are you limiting your own turn on or accelerating your pleasure by not being willing to receive?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working on receptivity. Definitely working on it. Yeah. All right. Shall we move on?
Well, it's interesting that meditation's bleeding in through all of our clues, but the clue number 3 is this is what you really need to go deep into heart expanded pleasure. And, you know, it's really learning how to move energy through your body and connect to all parts of you. So how well and fluid are you at really alivening your body through the energy channels, through the chakras, and invigorating your whole body and connecting all those aspects so that your genitals can be literally connected to every part of your body, or your different chakras can be connected to all the other centers.
Yeah. So kind of, I'm going to, Art finally kind of wrote up what his block was, and it's such a good issue. So think about what she just talked about, you know, what do you need to really go into a heart pleasured experience? But I also want to read what Art wrote, and I want to comment on it. He wrote, blocks are as mentioned above with oral sex. Also, sometimes I feel like having a sexual connection, and yet I feel hesitant because she is busy or focused on accomplishing something. It's frustrating at times because we don't get to bed at a reasonable time, and then we need to go to sleep. You know, at this point, as a coach, I coach every couple to have at least one scheduled date per week. And I've learned to make it in the afternoon.
Date afternoon. Not date evening.
Because when it's a date evening, that's what happens. By the time they have dinner, you know, and maybe they have a bottle of wine, or they drink, or they're tired. They're tired. So afternoons. And so our dates are always in the afternoon, so that we know that we've got, and we always schedule at least 3 hours minimum. So there's time to talk, and there's time
clear withholds,
and for her to shift from, because she's in masculine a lot during the day. She's very focused and accomplished, and it takes her time to shift into that receptive place.
So I just hear Art saying afternoons don't work. They have regular jobs. So one thing is just to be able to plan it. Like if you know you're going to have a Thursday night date night, then it's up to you both to be responsible about what you would need to transition from doer, work mode, mother role, whatever that role is, to lover role, to lover mode. So for me, it's like making sure that I sign off of computer work like an hour or two before, go for a walk in nature, take maybe a hot bath, unless we're going to take a bath together, to get myself into a place that I'm ready to move into sensuality. Because I know in general for women, it's more of a transition time. I know that's a generalization, but to learn how to get my masculine to come down and to move into more of a lovership, feminine, kind of juicy, receptive state.
Yeah. When Harbin Hot Springs was open, she would go to Harbin and then come back, and she'd be relaxed now and really ready. So, we've had to be creative. She went to Wilbur Hot Springs for a couple of days this week because, again, it was time for her to have some alone time and, really drop in. So anything come up for you on any kind of insights about what works for you to really go into heart expanded pleasure? And we've already heard a little bit. David's talked about that, but anybody else want to share anything that comes up for them about that?
I can share quickly.
Okay.
For me, it's really, again, the emotional intimacy piece. So like really hearing about that person's vulnerability, maybe their fears, and just like really going into those tender places and bringing more love to the tender places. And then after going through that and sharing that space of vulnerability, going into deep gratitudes and appreciations, specifically about these are the things that really turn me on about you. These are the things and the qualities I so admire in you. This is what happens to my body when I think about these qualities in you. I mean, just like, I'm like, oh, like words of affirmation. So that's, I guess, what helps me to go into heart expanded pleasure with the other.
Anybody else? Anything come up? Matthew. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I felt it was really interesting when you asked that. I was paying attention to you, and then Emily said you were going to share, and I looked over at my own video, and I had this really quizzical, focused look on my own face, and I was like, "What's that about? Like, why? What am I thinking here?" And I realized, I feel like that's a space I'm in all the time, like being heart-centered and connected, whether I'm engaging with a partner, whether it's sexually engaging, or whether we're just hanging out, or we're just in space together, or whether it's just me on my own, or whether it's me here with you guys. I feel like that's become such my focus that everything's coming from there, that I was like, I don't really think about it. Like I don't know. I was almost like confused for a second. I'm like, well, what does that mean for me? It's like, well, I feel like I'm almost always able to enter that space or come from that space.
So I'm celebrating you, Matthew, and that's what
I love that shit,
And really, I celebrate, and probably for all the men in this call, thank you for cultivating that.
Yeah.
Thank you for making the shift from it being about your genitals to being about your heart, and to now having done that so much that you live there. And I know you, Matthew, and Dan, and David well enough to know, and Art, I know all of you guys well enough to know that you live in your heart. And Scott, I didn't mention you because I don't know you that well yet, but I imagine that you do too. Yeah. And so living, God bless us as men that are living in open heart reality. We are helping to shift the paradigm by doing that. We're doing it, guys. We're doing our work.
And I would also say, because when you're sharing that, and thank you, first off, that's the very first thing. Thank you, everybody who's doing that. Everybody who is coming from their heart. I want to blow that out. And Scott, we have some conversations to have about that, by the way. Anyways, I also realized while you were speaking that some of the real really sexually, physically turned on moments that I have had around. And I don't have a partner right now specifically, right? And so I'm engaging with a couple different people at different times, but they're all very heart-centered individuals. They're in alignment with where I'm coming from, and I've had some of my most powerful, like immediate sexual, like whoo, in my body experiences around these individuals because that's where they're at and that's where I'm at. And that's what turns me on. I mean, that's just like, boom, I'm just like there, right? That's amazing. Cause everything I can think of in the past, going back, a decade or whatever, my engagement sexually was just so disconnected. It was so disconnected and specifically disconnected from the heart, because I didn't know how to connect them. I didn't know, what was keeping that removed with the layers that were there that were moving that. And a lot of that's been stripped away.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Nice. Resonance.
I'm noticing that we are on timing. We're at an hour and 10 and we want to keep it.
Okay.
So
let's move on.
Let's kind of, we've been talking a lot about clue number 4 is her greatest aphrodisiacs, and clue number 5 is his greatest aphrodisiacs. And we've already been talking about that to some degree already. But one thing I want to mention about, for really not just men, not just women, but men too, safety and trust. It's so important for us to create a safe container. And not just again for sex, but to really allow ourselves to light up. And I think that we probably all would be surprised if we looked at some of the areas where we don't feel safe. Like, Emily was talking about, the safety to allow herself to just make noise, right? And what are the ways?
The faces.
The faces.
Sorry.
Right, the faces.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm
the
not,
faces.
the noises.
Right. Oh, I thought you also were wondering, I also was wondering if you felt totally safe to make noise too. You have that, because you used to have the voice teacher thing, so that's why you've cleared that.
No. That's
Cleared.
good. Yeah,
okay, good. So it's just the faces.
Yes, the faces.
Okay.
We'll work on that.
Love your faces.
Okay. You just have to say that over and over again.
I love your faces.
During the act.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to end the webinar now and get straight to... but what are some of the areas, and not just in sex, that you would need more safety in order to fully allow yourself to be lit up, right? Even Art talking about, I got to get a certain number of things done before I can focus there. And I certainly have that, I'm a nature boy, and I spend so little time in nature because I live in this never ending to-do list and stacks of things that need to be done and all of that. So, I just want to own for me, there's a safety to trust that the money's going to come in and everything that needs to get done is going to get done, and I can take time off.
So here's the challenge that comes up for me. I want to honor that part of acknowledging that's what I need to feel safe, but to what degree is that a story that keeps you in a block that's limiting you to be able to really just be there?
Oh, I'm sure that's there. Definitely,
it's just so I think it's good to.
It's a misery go round almost.
Right. So it's like, I need this in order to be okay. It's like is that something that I might need to actually clear?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
no, that's right on.
I don't know.
Scott Church.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the challenge is that presumes it's even in our consciousness, right? That we're feeling safe and secure. Because sometimes the story we come in with, like I know for me, when I'm constantly needing to remind myself in the here and now, I am safe in the relationship that I have. My partner and I have created what we call a couple bubble, but we're constantly having to counter the stories from the past that we're not safe because we get triggered.
Wow.
And so it can be things that, like for me, if I'm the connection person, if 3 hours goes by and I haven't heard from my partner, I start to, there's insecurities come up, and I can work through them for a while, do my own self-sourcing and self-care, but it gets harder and scary. But I also have to tell myself, this partner isn't like my past partners. This person loves me. They are a different person. I don't know if that touches on kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really honest, and it's true. It's like, so safety from consistency. I'm hearing that you have a high value for consistency, and that you two are really working on finding the balance where your need for consistent connection is met, and probably your partner has to work on, their fear of engulfment, or, maybe feeling sometimes, I don't know, I'm the one who's more connection oriented. She's more the freedom person. Mm-hmm. So we have that balance of, okay, I'm practicing giving her lots of space, and she's practicing considering how her choices affect me in our relationship.
Right.
It's an interesting balance, because it's really important for us to ask to make requests of our partner of what we need to meet our needs for safety and connection, and to find that balance. But I would say it's more important for us to learn how to source those needs from within, in my reality. And so, like, as you were saying before, Scott, about the idea of like, I can't do this until I get this amount of work done for me to feel like I'm financially taken care of. That gives me the reward to now have this. Right. It's like, to what degree am I in a survival story that I'm not safe unless I have a certain amount of security from the outside world, that then gives me the entitlement to enjoy myself. So right there, that's already stuff to start exploring. How can I repattern that? How can I know that I'm okay right now? How can I know that I'm worthy of pleasure right now? It's not based on an outcome, and so you start sourcing to those parts that either don't feel worthy, or that feel are in scarcity mindset or in fear mindset, and learning to repattern those parts so that we can really, again, be driven by the heart's longing. Right now, it's like, I don't have to get this done to give me the right or permission to finally enjoy myself. I can enjoy myself right now, right?
Right.
Oh, wait. Go ahead, Scott.
Could I ask about what that looks like from your perspective?
As far as
not minimize yours at all, Emily, but I'm curious because
like
I imagine God, right?
Right.
Good question. Thank you.
I'll think about it and I'll come back in.
Yeah. While she's thinking about it, I do want to acknowledge, as a coach, what I've learned working with a lot of women, and also personally. For most women, the aphrodisiac is emotional intimacy, really feeling like there's quality communication, there's quality care, and going slow, slow. The thing is so interesting is that a woman can have a 45-minute orgasm or multiple orgasms, whereas, us men, our orgasm is like whoopity whoopity, and then we get tired, right? Which kind of sucks. So of course, for us, learning to ride the orgasmic waves of our partner, I'm imagining, is what most of us have discovered is really cool. But it also takes a much longer time for a woman to get that energy going. And before you even get to physical touch, there's got to be emotional intimacy, emotional safety, connection. So again, that's why if we have a romantic date afternoon scheduled, at least 3 hours. And the first hour is usually just talking or taking a bath. And the second hour is massage and nurturing. And then we slowly move into sensuality, and then finally into sexuality. And then once she gets going, it's amazing where she can go. But it is anywhere from a 30-minute to 2-hour process to get into the place where she can authentically really be moving energy there. And I think every woman is different, and every woman is different every day. but I think that in general, that is a really important thing for us as men to be aware of, and for women to educate the men. I need this amount of time. I need these steps before I can really open my yoni and surrender the way you want me to.
Okay, so Scott, I self-reflected and was able to really tune in. So for me, it's more about avoidant behavior. Like, you know, it's like the engulfment stuff. So I'll create strategies to avoid the intimacy and so the self-sourcing piece that I need is remembering this connection is nourishing to me. This connection will fill me up. This connection is safe. I am safe to connect, because I grew up that it wasn't safe to connect. My programming is connection is danger, which is the engulfment piece. So I got to take care of myself and keep myself separate. But then underneath, like really underneath, is like the neglected child. But I usually disown that part of me and go into protector. I just need to keep you shut out and do my own thing. And so there's like really like deep stuff in the shadow down there. So I'm safe to connect. This connection nourishes me. Those are the self-sourcing pieces that help me to remember to open to Scott and to come into connection with other.
You know, it's interesting how many times Emily and I will make love, and it's great. And we'll say, why don't we do this more often? And we'll make the commitment, okay, twice a week, 3 times a week. And then another week goes by, and then we go, you know, and it takes a little time to go going, and then it's great. We go, oh my God, it's so great. Why don't we do this more often? I mean, we've been in that cycle for a while. Yeah. It's funny.
But anyway.
Dan, I'm going to unmute you.
It was, what was his name there? I can't see the name. Matthew had just showed up a book that I mentioned earlier here about Slow Sex by Diana Richardson. And as I'm thinking here, and you're talking about how you like to take your time with Emily and how so many men like to do that because women do take more time. Mm-hmm. I think a great practice would be for the women to do that to the men.
Nice. Yeah.
So teach men, take your time.
Yeah.
You learn by experience. You don't have to worry about your erection, and it doesn't even matter if you get erect. That's not the point.
Yeah.
But to feel the whole body come alive, to feel the receiving, to be able to not be Shiva and have to give all the time, but to be Shiva and receive.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just coming to my thoughts here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. So appreciating your participation in today's class. Thank you.
So again, like opening up to anybody that wants to share, wow, what does allow you to get in the mood, or what really ignites your fire or gets you sort of, you know, really gets you going? Is there anything that anyone wants to vulnerably share?
We're going to give Art a shot here.
Oh.
Yay,
hey, we can hear you.
Okay, I switched to my telephone. My computer was not working, just like you guys this morning. So yeah, I'll talk about what you're saying now. The things that work really well for Marilee and I are when we have what we call Lover's Holiday. And you'll see we have a whiteboard here where we have our Lover's Holiday checklist.
Wow. That's awesome.
And we've like gone to the best one we ever did was like 2 days at a hotel where we just spent the whole time making love, and it was so fabulous. Or we'll have a weekend where we choose some time. But I think you're right that really having show my board, please. Okay.
Yeah, take it over closer so and really see what's on it.
Okay, tell me how close to go.
Keep going. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so we have fireplace, cuddling, massage, lovemaking, gloves, which means prostate massage, snake charming, lingam massage, our swing, dancing. We love intimate dancing is such a beautiful way of connecting because you can come, and then spirituality and tantra books. So we love just like when we come home, I'm all, like in that masculine thing, and we'll just come together and we'll move together, and it just like immediately pulls us into our bodies. It pulls us into that connection. And we also learn to practice in the morning where you wake up and you say, let's just make love now for 15 minutes. And it's just, that's something that we really find is a sweet practice, but it doesn't always work because sometimes she's tired.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you so much for
Art.
sharing
That's
that.
great.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
Yeah,
Coming back.
and thank you so much for the work you do. This is really awesome. And I think a lot of it is just developing awareness of our bodies and what our partner needs, which is a big part of your work. So I'd really honor that. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you for giving us so many opportunities to see examples.
I'm really appreciating that this, as things turned out, this webinar has turned out to be almost all men on it, actually. And, usually it's women that, are kind of more tuned into these things. So thank you guys for showing up and wanting to share your wisdom and to learn. I'm really appreciating it. So thank you guys. Well, I think we're about wrapping up here. First off, I want to thank everybody for joining us. And I want to especially thank the people who are watching this replay, because most of the people who are actually going to end up watching it will be watching the replay. But thank you, those of you who showed up live, especially after our quick switch at the beginning. Thank you, Emily, for being willing to move forward with the webinar, even though we had a tough morning.
Encouragement.
Yep, I love you so much.
Love you too.
And we do want to remind everybody that Emily and I are creating this amazing online community. And it's really, really cool. We have done several online courses now. Matthew is right in the middle of one of our online courses right now, Relationship Essentials. And we want to encourage you that if you haven't already joined our online membership site, please do so. It's an amazing program. And we've worked really hard over the last 2 years. We've created 40 videos, about 20 webinars, 15 audio podcasts. And it's a really wonderful online program. And you get a lot. As you can see by the screen, when you join, you get access to an entire course that teaches the basics of compassionate communication. And it's all online, so you can do it in your own way. There are about 40 documents that are in the online training, so you can go through at your own pace and really learn all the things that are really important. How to immediately stop conflict, how to be heard and understood, all about empathy, the value of empathy, communication basics. We have a lot in there on building emotional intelligence. It's been proven that EQ, emotional intelligence, is far more important than mental intelligence to a successful life. And we go on and on. These are all things that are in our library of CDs and videos. But we also have this incredible online community. And we have a weekly online practice group. It's on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, where we all come together and we practice how to give empathy to each other, or we practice an emotional intelligence skill. And so we're really building this amazing online community, and we want you to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it's also a chance to get kind of live coaching. Like, as you can see, some of you guys may have had some support or maybe had reflection that helped you have more awareness. So there's like 3 components: the content, building the community, and then also the opportunities to get kind of coached either live when we're on, or have a group live coaching kind of atmosphere.
And it's very educational and inspiring. And here's the pricing. It's $12.77 a month, or $97.77 for a year, or lifetime membership, $397. And whatever level you feel comfortable at. And so I'm going to put into the chat box the place where you can click to join us. And any of you who register, if you register as a result of seeing this webinar, we're going to give a free 30-minute consultation where we will work with you on a relationship issue. So if you register, then send us an email saying, yes, I registered after watching the webinar, because it might be some people seeing it a month from now who watch the webinar later. So you just send us an email saying, I watched your webinar, and that's why I registered, and then we'll check it.
Let me put our information here.
Oh, and we also want to send that to everybody.
Info@lovecoachacademy.com.
Right.
So that's the place.
Hang on, that's just going to Art.
Sorry.
So hang on, I'm going to copy this and send it to everybody. There we go.
There we go.
Send to everyone. Technology. Now, for those of you who are watching this webinar down the line, you can't access the chat room. So just go to lovecoachacademy.com, lovecoachacademy.com, and then you'll see up at the toolbar, just click Learn About Our Online Community. You'll find it really easy, lovecoachacademy.com. And that's where
and then Learn About Our Community button on the right.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming in on a Saturday morning and hanging out with us. And hopefully we'll see you on our weekly live practice groups or in one of our courses.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing all of you. And of course, we'll see you tomorrow, Matthew, on our Sunday Relationship Essentials class. And God's blessings. Take care, everyone. Thank you for being with us.
Love you.